Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 10th of September. So we'll start off looking at the euro dollar, and well, it's all turned rather bearish. Now on Friday, what with the news coming out there, it's the euro sold. Didn't get the bounce I expected. In fact, now it closed on a bearish pivot swing. It looks relatively bearish here. Bearish. Momentum's obviously dropped out of the move that was sort of pushing up there, and also we're just about to get a switch on the MACD there by the looks of things very shortly, maybe today, tomorrow. So what's happened here on the 4 hourly? Well, lower highs, lower lows come through the market last week. Then we had the pitch up midweek there. Looked like it might have done something more and continued in the upside, but never managed to break up beyond this sort of double top, but these tops here into the 4 hourly trend line, and it pushed up again on the Friday morning, but still never managed to push over. So we do have the weekly pivot above us, which could become a target at some point, and also daily pivot sits there. So let's just see how it runs for this morning. Now it's pretty close to the daily S1, which may provide it some support. Now if that's the case and it bounces off that, well, I'd rather be safe than sorry on this move here. At the moment it looks weak. It never really looked back from the news on Friday. We had a couple of bounces, but not sufficiently to create more potential upside at the moment. Lower highs, lower lows are now coming through on this shorter time frame on this hourly time frame here. It does look a bit soft, but maybe we'll get a reversal, but back towards that weekly and daily pivot, which could in itself become sell points. As I say, it does look weak at the moment, as does the pound dollar. Really, it's pulling again. Friday didn't manage to pitch up too high. It was relatively soft most of the week. With the rallies weren't fantastically great. They were generally brought on by Barnier & Co. But it's looking soft at the moment, and not quite in some. Well, let's put a graveyard doji stroke shooting star in there, so I guess that's just as good a weak signal as any. And 4 hourly wise, as we come to approach the end of this, we're putting in a 4 hourly pivot swing, all quite bearish there through the weekly pivot. At the moment there is the daily pivot above, but at the moment it does all look very soft. Now of course with this pairing, it doesn't take much to get it bouncing. With, as I say, Barnier and Co. Seem to make it bounce quite well. I think Boris Johnson's words over the weekend were not particularly helpful for it, which may in turn see it sell off a little bit more. It does look weak. It's no reason it should be any stronger than the euro at the moment, so we'll see. Anyway, dollar yen. So dollar yen, let's start with the bigger picture here. It's had a bounce through the Asian session. Quite often we see money moving back into the dollar yen. It had set up a daily pivot swing. Sorry, I see the Asian session. That's Friday's session had the bounce. Beg your pardon, I'm looking at daily here. It never really followed through from that bearish pivot swing, finding support just through the daily 100 there. Now the Asian equities market this morning are all mixed. Trump threatened more tariffs on Friday, which another, I think it was 260 billion or something like that. He threatened on Friday, which is a threat to the region as a whole, I guess, and could be seen bouncing through. Now looking at the yen 4 hourly, sort of flaggy pattern on the 4 hourly here potentially, so may see some more upside. It was running pretty well for the best part of the best part, the early part of last week, and then we saw the corrections. Are we going to say a similar move here? If it can get back above its above the weekly pivot there, it's already done the daily, it's ticked off some boxes there. Maybe if it can break, there's a trend line across the highs here, maybe you could see pushing it up towards its S1 area. Okay, that's the dollar yen, Aussie dollar. In fact, okay, I'll come back to it in a moment. I'm going to have a look at the euro yen and these updates at the moment. It's started moving quite well, so I'll pop it in there in a moment. Anyway, Aussie dollar, well, a strong sell-off on Friday, and not much else happening at the moment. Consolidation, it has got the weekly pivot above. If it was to see a reversal, this Trump stuff with China's not helping, because obviously China's its biggest trading partner, and this big bearish engulfing on the 60 doesn't look particularly great at the moment. It's had a lot of taps along those lows there. Maybe we'll see a continuation to the downside. Any move back towards the daily and weekly pivots, maybe opportunities to sell into. It does remain on the weaker side on the Aussie dollar at the moment. And the Canadian dollar. So Canadian dollar daily point of view, it did manage to bounce off the daily 8 in the end, pushed up quite strongly. Momentum is positive to the upside there now, and looking pretty helpful still on the 4-hourly, of course. Then we do have the weekly pivot below, which could be a draw at some point, but for now it does, with this bullish engulfing, does look like it may have more upside, maybe towards the level it was sitting there at, just where these highs were leading into last week. It just had a load of highs around that area. Maybe it didn't manage to get too far through at that time. Maybe we will push through the R1 and continue through, but that R1 may be a reasonable sign at the moment. But overall, it looks like we might put a bit of a reversal on in the bigger picture on the Canadian dollar, and may, as I say, if we can push on through these prior highs, push through this area, we may get a bigger push up. But it's a funny old one at times. We'll see. So that's the Canadian dollar, and I said I would just finish off. I'm just going to have a quick look at the euro dollar. Euro dollar has been moving quite nice. Sorry, euro dollar, euro yen. Euro yen's been moving quite nice. We've seen some decent trends through the last couple of months there. Often with the euro yen, we can see large periods of when it just sits consolidated, but it seems to be breaking better at the moment. It looks more solidly bearish at the moment than the other pairings in some respect. It does still have the weekly pivot. I mean, the argument is still possibly very similar to the euro dollar at the moment in terms of a retrace from where we're sitting here. May see opportunities to sell into. The daily and weekly pivot may provide opportunities to sell. Yeah, it's typical. I thought I'd have a look at this morning. Doesn't look too dissimilar to the euro at the moment. I'll just bring the euro back into play there. After about an hour, it may just tune itself in. It's a bit slow this morning. There we go. Not too dissimilar in terms of this bar at the moment. This price action we're seeing here. So we'll just see how it runs this morning. News-wise today, there is some GDP data out for the UK at 9:30. Now this is the new monthly release, so it's hard to say how much impact it will have now it's being released on a monthly basis. The Canadian GDP is released on a monthly basis, and it's subdued, I think is the best way to be addressing it. But saying that, it may become a regular occurrence that we look for this GDP number coming through. So that's at 9:30. At the same time as the manufacturing production, so that may muddy the water somewhat. Traders will be looking at all three figures: manufacturing, production, GDP. So it could be a bit of a messy old one. Thereafter, quite old day. Have a great one. Bye for now.